racism. Where is it gone? Is it really gone or is it still here?
Want some milk?
All right. Now, I'd like to ask Dr. Francio. Now, supposing somebody has a problem, he feels discriminated, treated improperly, is there any way the person can go lodge a complaint? And what sort of proofs or in evidence must the person carry with him or her?
Well, there are several instances. One of them is actually, it's called the Commissie Gelijke Behandeling.
Yeah.
Then there's the LBR, so Landelijk Bureau van Racismebestrijding. So there's a bureau actually which records this. And there's a commission that actually, if you experience something, that you go to the commission, because the Landelijk Bureau sends it to the commission.
Yeah.
And if you can prove that you were treated wrongly, then the school or whatever actually has to rectify that mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that actually, if you paid, for instance, what the lady was saying, if you paid, if you actually have the qualifications to be there, if you are not treated equally, then that school should rectify that and make sure that you can follow the course, because then you're not treated equally. In our grondwet, so in our constitution, Article 1 says people have a right not to be discriminated based upon skin color, based upon religion, based upon gender, based upon sexual preference, etc. So what that commission does is it looks, is this behavior against the Constitution? If it is against the Constitution, then it must be rectified. Something else that you can do, I think that is always of consequence in liberal democracies like ours, is actually organize yourself. Organize yourself with like-minded individuals so that you can form a group. Because sometimes when you form a group or a movement, then people listen to you sometimes a bit more. So I would say that what is of consequence for the 12th of December is that you come there and that you meet the various organizations that are busy with this, and then you have more alliances, you have more solidarity, you know where to go. If you are treated wrongly, you will be able to exchange telephone numbers, you will be able to meet other professors, because sometimes if you experience something at a university, then it might be so that you can say, I know another professor there who actually then can make the call and say, what's going on?
Oh,
Aren't we one university here? How can you be treating these students differently?
Yes.
Then it can go to things like the examencommissie.
Yes.
Every university has an exam committee, an opleidingscommissie, which is actually a commission of education. These commissions are supposed to get these reports, get these things, and then actually judge upon them. Sometimes these things don't reach there, but it's of consequence for them to reach there. And when you know your rights, therefore it's important to know actually your rights. I would say anyone that's enrolling in higher education, the first thing you do is read the rights. Read actually what are your duties and what are the obligations and what actually you should expect. Because the moment you've read those things is the moment you can hold the other into account. Based upon that. So I would say everyone should do so. Oftentimes we go to a job or we go to an educational facility or we actually follow a course, and what we do not do is actually read the things. I would say read them first. That's the first thing I do.
The problem I see is that sometimes discrimination or racism it's wrapped up so beautifully that it's hard to pinpoint it and say this is discrimination, and that's why people have a challenge, exposing it. You get a feeling that if somebody is discriminating against you, but they do it in such a polished way that
you can't point it, you can't call it by its name.
So what does one do in cases like that?
It's very hard, of course.
You can't really prove it.
You can't really prove it unless you actually, in first instance, have actually read through the manuals. If you read through the manuals and you're in a school, for instance, then you know, hey, wait a minute. If the manuals say A,
it has to be A.
It has to be A. The manuals do not say, nowhere in any university in the Netherlands does the manual say, if the rest of the group do not like you, then you have to go home.
Yeah.
And come back when we have a group that likes you. No manual says that. So you can never say, I'm doing you a favor.
This is funny.
You're not doing me a favor.
Yes.
Let me just quickly put this. Do you think that people who have racist or xenophobic tendencies should be treated as quote-unquote normal? Or they have a problem that needs special attention?
Yes, I think so.
You see, sometimes we have the tendency to actually medicalize things nowadays.
Yes.
To actually act as though it is a psychological ill.
Yeah.
I am of the opinion that in the public sphere, where we're supposed to deal with one another, you are supposed to know the rules of engagement. What is the matter with you psychologically, that you go to a psychiatrist and you deal with that. In the public sphere, I expect to be treated equal. I expect actually that you engage with the rules as is. In the public sphere, we have to clean out this public sphere. Each and every time someone behaves unaccordingly, we have to call that person into account.
Yes.
Then later on in the private sphere, we can actually look whether the person has a psychological ill or not.
Exactly.
But we cannot excuse it in the public sphere by saying, well, that person is psychologically ill, or just forget about it. No. We should always say no to that. Because if we do not say no to that, again, then we're spitting on the ancestors of persons who were of Jewish extraction, persons who experienced slavery, persons who experienced all kinds of persecutions. That's what we're doing. We're saying to them, you actually should not have stood up. And we should actually say, accept that inheritance and say, all of us should stand up whenever someone in that public sphere does not behave accordingly.
Yes.
We worked very hard, all of us, men, women of various skin tones, of various religions, to try and create a public sphere here in the Netherlands in which we treat each other accordingly. And we should defend that. And we should never actually say, well, let's excuse it. It is inexcusable, and we should always say it is inexcusable.
Now, when someone consistently, displays this tendency of, having this hatred or disregard, disrespect for somebody for whatever reason, because of skin color or maybe culture or race or religion, do you think that something should really be done to help that person, adjust? I don't know, but perhaps this is food for thought, but like you said, we easily classify it as a psychological issue, and people that try to put it aside or whatever. But I guess this should be looked at, because some people have an intense hatred for other people based on all of the differences we've spoken about. And I think that's really abnormal.
Well, there's many things. I think that sometimes people can say, I have this intense problem, hatred, etc. The moment that person gets sanctioned, then suddenly 80% of them suddenly wise up.
Right.
A sanctioning works oftentimes to actually, for the person to think, okay, now I know here I can't behave that way. Then we can also say, privately, well, I can help you with this course.
Yeah.
No problem. But in the public, we must sanction when people behave wrong.
Like that.
Because otherwise, the person that is being hurt, we're not looking at that person.
No.
And a public issue is an issue that you have to judge. And you have to judge and be able to say, here I sanction you because you behaved wrongly.
Yes.
If that person at that moment in time treats another person and discriminates that person should be sanctioned. Go home. Tomorrow when you come back, you behave differently. If you don't behave differently, go home again.
Yes.
Thank you so much. It's a nice ending to this awesome discussion. Thank you very much, Dr. Francio. Our time is up. And I appreciate your input. I wish you all the best on the 12th of December.
12th of December,
for that program. Hopefully, we'll try to be there. And of course, we want to let everyone know you're most welcome to be at this program. Give us quickly, in a few seconds, details about the venue, the time.
Well, it will be at the 12th of December at the Compagnie Theater in Amsterdam, in the city. It will start at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, in the evening.
In the evenings. So we're trying to get as much people out, so not only the university students, but also people that are concerned, people who have to work. So after work they can come. We will have Paul Gilroy, who actually is the professor at the London School of Economics.
Okay.
We will also have a response by André van Es, who's an elder woman here in the municipality. So she will give a first response, so then you're sure actually that the politics of Amsterdam is taking this seriously.
Good.
And we will have Amade Macharek, who's also a professor at our university, to respond to it. So then it will be a public event in which the various sections of Amsterdam and the rest of the Netherlands will come out.
Powerful.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll take the news now.